7 brave female founders finally said no to competing against one another on stages for show. Instead, they began an experiment to divide and conquer, to raise together and grow. A strategy was created to attract more than just checks that were actually vetted. Their wish list was short, just mission-aligned investors and allies of support. On the eve of Christmas, they made a leap of faith into 2021. Together, they raced, gathering their investor lists each week to review the talks with the investors they had tried to convince. The founders hoped to reach their shared raise goals, and without any guarantees that it would work at all. With no roadmap to follow, only their belief, they ventured into 2021 with only their 2 feet. As the lockdown was looming and the fate of the world was forever changing, a bright light attracted attention and their community was quickly growing. Words of glee soon came in across the startup community, cheering them on and offering to help, saying, "Keep on going no matter what cards you are dealt. We believe and agree that there's a better path for thee." In came the intros and many greetings, but the investors they met were still wary. Wires were postponed by their fears that were airy. As investors sought to only follow, it was a lead they needed to show. Time was ticking, the founders got clicking. They had to move fast, as hope was being shadowed by the fear of their unknown path. As their faith only grew stronger in the face of others' doubts, burning with belief, they were determined to figure it out. As long as they had their community, they kept away the feeling of insanity. The wires were still nowhere to be found. The meetings dried up with all the other headlines around. A light burned bright for one of the we in the face of uncertainty. Alexis and David became leaders as they did agree that this would be their legacy. To create an app that would help all the lonely founders trust their gut through the ups and downs, and especially when the investors slammed the doors shut. With the mission still crystal clear, they reset without any fear. Launching on International Women's Day, when the world would unite to keep up this very important founder isolation fight. Founders shared their real race stories in hopes to answer many of the investors' queries about why this needed to be, as it's better for the founders and investors, you see. They attracted new allies and founders globally, but still no investor wires came to be. As the months passed, making the app better, listening to their founders and how to make it light as a feather. Now with an app that saved founders time and gave investors the peace of mind. Founders would be using tech to help them take action, attracting more investors with prepared due diligence and more micro traction. A year had passed, and as they reflected, the founders' real raise movement they resurrected. Presenting at the Google Fest, the world could now attest that there was something better than the rest. Just 1 year later, on the next Christmas Eve, Circle One diligence was prepared and the app was ready. Filled with a renewed real race spirit, they reached back out to all to try it. Founders were talking and totally agreed. It's a tool, you see, that helps founders like me. All were comforted just knowing they were not alone, and the real raise movement was only growing. 2020 to 20, as the founders look back, they learned that there's so much more than just a check that would carry them through pitching their live stack decks. A real race summit for founders was held to recap, reminding founders that anything was possible when they came together on the WeTransact app. The holiday moral of this tale, you see, is we can make anything happen together in our community. WeTransact is wishing all your paths weave and wind, bringing you much success in 2021 for you to find.